Welcome to Eternal Love Diaries, where real stories change real lives. Every love carries a story. And here, each one is told from the heart. Today's story follows Ethan, a 32-year-old single father struggling to make ends meet after losing his wife to cancer last year. His entire world revolves around his 8-year-old daughter Lily, for whom he works multiple minimum-wage jobs. One terrifying evening, Ethan and Lily find themselves cornered by two threatening men in a deserted parking lot. In that moment of desperation, Ethan makes a choice that will change their lives forever. What happens next brings an unexpected guardian into their lives, Gabriel Reynolds, a reclusive tech millionaire with secrets of his own. As their worlds collide, both men must confront painful truths about loss, trust, and what it truly means to be family. Neither could have predicted how a single moment of courage would transform them both in ways they never imagined possible. Ethan Matthews clutched his daughter's small hand tighter as they hurried through the dimly lit parking lot behind Barney's Diner. His legs ached from standing for 12 straight hours, his second shift of the day finally over. The night air bit through his thin jacket, but he couldn't afford a new one, not when Lily needed winter boots and her asthma medication refilled. "Daddy, I'm scared," Lily whispered, her breath visible in the cold October air. Before Ethan could respond, two hulking figures emerged from between the parked cars, their faces partially hidden by hoodies. "Nice watch," the taller one said, pointing at the silver timepiece on Ethan's wrist, his late wife's last gift to him. "Hand it over, and whatever's in your wallet." "Please," Ethan said, positioning himself in front of Lily, "I don't have much, but take what you want. Just let my daughter go." His heart hammered against his ribs as he felt Lily trembling behind him. The second man stepped forward, revealing a glint of metal in his hand. "We don't have all night, man," he growled. In that moment, Ethan made the decision that would change everything. "Lily, run to the diner," he shouted, and when she hesitated, he gave her a gentle push. "Now!" As Lily bolted away, Ethan lunged at the men, buying precious seconds for his daughter's escape. What happened next was a blur of motion and sound. Ethan took a blow to the jaw that sent him sprawling onto the cold asphalt. As the men advanced, a sleek black car screeched into the lot, high beams blinding. The driver's door flew open, and a commanding voice cut through the night, "Police! On the ground now!" The thugs scrambled, disappearing into the darkness as rapidly as they had appeared. Dazed, Ethan struggled to his feet, blood trickling from his split lip. The car's headlights dimmed, revealing not a police officer, but a tall man in an expensive suit, holding nothing more threatening than a smartphone. "Are you all right?" the stranger asked, helping Ethan up. "Your daughter's safe, she's inside with the manager. I've already called the actual police." In the fluorescent glare of the diner, Ethan held Lily close while a paramedic cleaned his face. The stranger who had saved them sat across the booth, his tailored suit out of place among the vinyl seats and formica tables. "Gabriel Reynolds," he introduced himself with a slight nod. "I was just grabbing coffee when I saw what happened." Something in his voice suggested there was more to the story, but Ethan was too exhausted to question it. "I'm Ethan Matthews. This is my daughter, Lily. Thank you for what you did out there." Gabriel studied them both, his expression unreadable behind steel-rimmed glasses. "You stood your ground against two armed men to protect your child," he said simply. "That took extraordinary courage." The next morning dawned gray and cold, matching Ethan's mood as he dragged himself to his morning job at the local hardware store. His jaw throbbed beneath a purple bruise, drawing curious stares from customers. Manager Rick called him to the front around 10, his expression uncharacteristically nervous. "There's someone here to see you," he said, gesturing toward the entrance. Ethan froze when he recognized the tall figure waiting by the door, Gabriel Reynolds, looking even more imposing in daylight. "Mr. Matthews," Gabriel said, extending a business card embossed with the logo of Reynolds Technologies. "Do you have a moment to talk?" Ethan glanced at Rick, who nodded vigorously. "Take your break now, Ethan. Take all the time you need." In the small cafe next door, Gabriel got straight to the point. I'm in need of a personal assistant at my home office, he said, stirring his untouched coffee. The hours would align with your daughter's school schedule, and the salary would be. He named a figure that made Ethan choke on his water. That's very generous, but I don't understand. You don't know anything about me. Gabriel's expression remained impassive. I know enough. I know character when I see it, and that's what I need. Ethan's pride warred with practicality as he thought of Lily's medical bills, the past due rent notices. Why me? Really? Gabriel's eyes flickered with something Ethan couldn't identify. Let's just say I recognize something in you that's become rare in this world. Do you accept? 1 week later, Ethan stood at the gates of Gabriel's estate on the outskirts of town, questioning every life choice that had led him to this moment. The sprawling modernist house seemed to float above the surrounding forest, all glass and sharp angles. Inside, he found not the cold showplace he expected, but a home filled with books, art, and surprising warmth. Gabriel's home office occupied the east wing, overlooking a small lake. Your responsibilities will be straightforward, Gabriel explained, showing Ethan to a desk adjacent to his own. Manage my calendar, coordinate with my teams globally, and ensure I have what I need for meetings and travel. Over dinner the following week, after Lily had gone to bed, Gabriel finally revealed pieces of his carefully guarded past. I had a family once, he said, staring into his untouched wine. My wife Elena and our daughter Sophie. Car accident, 6 years ago. Sophie was Lily's age. The words hung heavy in the air between them. I'm sorry, Ethan said, understanding now the pain he'd sometimes glimpsed in Gabriel's eyes. I know what it's like to lose someone you can't imagine living without. Gabriel nodded slowly. That's why I stopped that night in the parking lot. Something about the way you looked at your daughter, it reminded me of myself, before. The admission created an unexpected bond between them, two men shaped by loss. As autumn deepened into winter, Gabriel became increasingly involved in their lives. He attended Lily's school play, sitting uncomfortably among the other parents but beaming with pride when she delivered her lines perfectly. He taught her chess, patiently explaining strategies as she arranged the pieces with solemn concentration. For Thanksgiving, he insisted they use the formal dining room, hiring a chef to prepare a feast. Watching Gabriel help Lily make a wishbone wish, Ethan felt something he hadn't experienced since Claire died, the warmth of family. Yet beneath his gratitude lurked an unsettling question: what did Gabriel truly want from them? The answer came on a snowy December evening, when Ethan accidentally discovered a file on Gabriel's computer labeled Matthew's Family. Inside were background checks, financial records, even medical information about Lily's condition. Most disturbing was a document titled Guardianship Options. Heart-pounding, Ethan confronted Gabriel in his study. What is this? Have you been planning something for us this whole time? He demanded, the papers shaking in his hand. Gabriel's face drained of color. Ethan, I can explain. But Ethan was already backing away, years of hard-earned distrust rushing back. We're not replacements for the family you lost, he said, his voice breaking. I'm grateful for everything you've done, but we're leaving. Tonight. As Ethan packed their few belongings, Gabriel stood in the doorway, looking more vulnerable than Ethan had ever seen him. I never intended to deceive you, he said quietly. Yes, I was drawn to you both because you reminded me of what I lost. But it became more than that. He hesitated, searching for words. I've been alone for so long, Ethan. When you and Lily came into my life, I started to feel human again. The file, I was looking into ways I could help secure Lily's future if anything happened to you. A college fund, medical trust, legal protections. Ethan paused, the shirt in his hands forgotten. Why didn't you just talk to me? Gabriel's answer was simple: I was afraid you'd leave. Like you're doing now. Ethan took Lily to his sister's house that night, his thoughts in turmoil. For days, he avoided Gabriel's calls, throwing himself back into his old job at the hardware store. Lily grew quiet, confused by the sudden change. Why can't we go back to Mr. Gabriel's house? She asked repeatedly. He promised to show me the stars with his telescope. Ethan had no answers that made sense, even to himself. Was he protecting Lily, or punishing Gabriel for caring too much? One evening, as snow fell outside their tiny apartment, Lily handed him a crayon drawing, 3 stick figures standing beside a large house. "That's our family," she said simply. "You, me, and Mr. Gabriel." Her words pierced through weeks of anger and confusion, forcing Ethan to confront a difficult truth. The next morning, Ethan drove to Gabriel's estate, rehearsing what he would say. He found Gabriel in his office, unshaven and exhausted, surrounded by work he clearly hadn't been focusing on. "I overreacted," Ethan said without preamble. "After Claire died, I promised myself I would never let anyone close enough to hurt Lily. Or me." Gabriel set down his coffee, hope and caution warring in his expression. "And now?" Ethan took a deep breath. "Now I realize that keeping people out hurts more than letting them in. Lily misses you. And truthfully, so do I." Something broke in Gabriel's carefully controlled facade. "I've been sitting here wondering how I'm supposed to go back to my life before you both crashed into it," he admitted. "I don't think I can." What followed was an honest conversation long overdue. Gabriel spoke of his guilt over surviving the accident that took his family, his years of isolation, the emptiness of his success. Ethan shared his fears of failing Lily, his struggles with grief, his reluctance to accept help. "I'm not trying to replace your wife," Gabriel said carefully. "Just as I know you and Lily aren't replacements for what I lost. But maybe we can be something new. Something different but equally valuable." He hesitated before continuing. "I'd like to be part of your lives, however you'll have me. As a friend, a support system, or maybe someday, family." The word hung between them, fragile and full of possibility. Christmas morning found the three of them in Gabriel's living room, surrounded by more presents than Lily had ever seen. "Too much," Ethan whispered to Gabriel as Lily tore into another package. Gabriel shrugged unapologetically. "I've had 6 years of gifts with nowhere to go," he replied. Later, after Lily had finally exhausted herself and fallen asleep amid her treasures, the two men sat by the fire. "I have something for you," Gabriel said, handing Ethan a small envelope. Inside was a deed. Gabriel had purchased the building where Ethan's late wife had run a small art studio. "I thought maybe Lily could have art classes there someday," Gabriel explained. "Keep her mother's legacy alive." Ethan was speechless, overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness behind the gesture. Spring brought new beginnings. Gabriel restructured his company to work primarily from home, prioritizing time with Ethan and Lily over endless business trips. Ethan enrolled in night classes to finish his business degree, supported by Gabriel's encouragement. Lily flourished, her asthma improving with consistent care, her confidence growing daily. They settled into a rhythm that felt increasingly natural: weekend hikes, movie nights, quiet dinners where they shared the day's events. They created new traditions while honoring old ones, finding balance between past and present. On the anniversary of Claire's death, all three visited her grave, Gabriel hanging back respectfully as Ethan and Lily placed fresh flowers. Later, he helped Lily plant a garden in her mother's memory. 1 year after that fateful night in the parking lot, Gabriel invited them to the lake house where he had once vacationed with his own family. Walking along the shore at sunset, watching Lily collect shells ahead of them, Gabriel turned to Ethan. "I never expected this," he said quietly. "After Elena and Sophie died, I thought that part of my life was over forever. I convinced myself I was better off alone." Ethan nodded, understanding completely. "That's how grief tricks you, makes you think walls keep you safe when they're actually your prison." Gabriel stopped walking, his expression serious. "I want you to know that whatever happens between us, you and Lily will always be secure. I've set up trusts, college funds, everything. Not because I'm trying to control your future, but because I want you to choose it freely." That night, after Lily was asleep, the two men sat on the deck under a canopy of stars. "I've been thinking," Ethan said, watching the moonlight on the water. About what family really means. Gabriel waited, patient as always. Claire taught me that family isn't just blood or marriage. It's who stands beside you when the world falls apart. Who helps you rebuild. He turned to face Gabriel fully. You've become family to us, Gabriel. Not replacing what we lost, but creating something new alongside it. Gabriel's eyes glistened in the darkness. I'd like that very much, he said simply. As they sat in comfortable silence, Ethan realized that life's greatest gifts often come from its deepest wounds, if we have the courage to remain open to possibility. Sometimes, the family you build matters more than the one you're born into. Sometimes, courage isn't facing down danger, but opening your heart after it's been shattered. And sometimes, when you least expect it, life gives you a second chance at happiness, not to replace what was lost, but to create something equally beautiful and entirely new. Ethan, Lily, and Gabriel discovered that love isn't diminished when shared, it multiplies. Their unlikely family formed from broken pieces made whole again, reminding us that even after our darkest nights, dawn always comes. The bonds we choose can be as strong as those we inherit, and there's always room in our hearts for more love if we're brave enough to let it in. We'd love to know, which country are you watching from? Drop a comment below. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you believe in second chances, show your support by hitting the like button. Subscribe to Eternal Love Diaries for more stories that touch the heart and change perspectives. From Portland, Oregon, United States, thank you for joining us on this journey of love, loss, and the courage to begin again.